Welcome to College Band Radio Live, brought to you by College Marching, sponsored by Flip Folder app. I hope everybody's having an absolute banger of a week so far, and got the chance to listen to last week's episode. We had a very nice chat with a couple friends from a different type of band. You know, instead of talking to the more traditional style of bands, we talked to some people from scatter bands from Stanford and Yale. It was a very interesting one. Make sure you go listen to it. And just a reminder, new episode this Friday where we have a fabulous interview with Michael Gray from Demulin about the uniform design process. Demulin. I can never pronounce that company. But do you know what's even more fabulous than the interview though?
What?
This transition over to Hannah with the socials. Hannah, where can these lovely people find us?
You can find us on Instagram at College Band Radio. You can find us on YouTube right here at College Band Radio. And you can find us on Twitter at College Band RDO.
There it is.
Craig, I'm sorry if I messed up your flow with that.
No, you were actually like perfect timing with it. You were perfect with that one. It worked out so well.
Craig was fumbling because he messed up the Mullen, so now Hannah has to come in and be the savior.
No, actually, I have a script and I had that written out almost. I did fumble a little bit. I did screw up the pronunciation.
Okay, but
sorry.
You recovered it.
Yeah.
Fumble recovery.
Exactly.
Fumble recovery.
We're all about recovering our fumbles. That's what we're all about here. Because you know what? This is a pretty scuffed thing. College Band Radio is not perfect, despite common belief.
Contrary to popular belief.
There's no popular belief.
We do, in fact, edit our podcast before they go
out. We do, if you couldn't tell.
Stop hitting us with this incorrect information.
Hannah does a very good job of editing.
Hannah and Craig.
I edited one segment in the past two seasons that hasn't even aired yet. So
it's gonna be great though. It's so good. Y'all are in for a treat on
I am truly getting carried by that interview. How it was just such a good interview.
It was a fantastic interview. Honestly, Michael was so lit. I mean, I shouldn't say lit, but like he was such a great person. It was so nice to hear about. Like I honestly had no clue how long it takes to actually and like the process of what a uniform is. But like
I'm very excited to listen to it.
He's a really nice guy too. He's so like it was funny because we were talking post pod and Craig was like literally every question that I had he just answered as he was going and I was like that's the kind of guest where you're like
when you listen
to perfect guest.
When you listen to it, you'll hear my voice one time. I asked one question because every single time I was about to ask a question, he just beat me to it. And I was like,
he was fantastic. He's such a nice guy.
Fantastic.
Southern hospitality is a real thing because I did notice the twang in his voice. It's a real thing, folks.
But there other than that, you know, if you want to hear more about uniforms and whatnot, definitely make sure you tune in on Friday because it's a great episode. Anyway, we've got some other stuff to talk about. First and foremost, some very big events happened this past weekend. The most important thing that happened this weekend is the final round of Marching Madness.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the women's tournament. My bad.
No. The thing that everybody cares about. Marching Madness.
Oh, I'm frozen.
Oh, whoa. You shouldn't have phrased it like that, Craig.
Alex, this is our thing. This is a band podcast. It's Marching Madness. That's the thing. Yeah. It's up on the screen right now. As people can see, it was not a close one. Hey baby destroyed Seven Nation Army with an over 50% margin.
Seven Nation Army shouldn't have gotten in. Seven Nation Army was a fluke.
Seven Nation Army was the Cinderella.
Yeah, and we're all about this.
We love Cinderella teams here.
No, they're a fluke. Next should have won.
Seven Nation Army was the Gonzaga right there. I'm just gonna say it.
Single F in the chat for Gonzaga. No. And you know, just your daily reminder, if you find yourself going, Gonzaga is overrated, they weren't. They weren't.
Baylor was just better.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest.
Baylor was better.
I think Gonzaga the reason the game was such a blowout was because of how the other game ended. Because they ended on like such a high, super confident, like, we just did that like half-court
And honestly,
three.
They didn't really play that well against UCLA. UCLA was a great matchup against Gonzaga, and Uzang, the guy number 3 on UCLA, had another fantastic game. Like, honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised. I would have sorry, I would have not been surprised if UCLA would have made it, but
Yeah.
I got to give
the game
credit
was
where
down to the
credit's due
wire.
to Gonzaga.
I think either of the teams would have been able to make it. But, I think if Gonzaga had come in a little more level-headed, they probably were coming a little cocky and a little confident on that one, overconfident on that one. I think it would have at least been a closer game. But I think after hitting that absolute monster of a game winner, they were just hyped up and they just couldn't. They
That
couldn't
dude
bring
was
it back
possessed
down. He
by
truly
the spirit
was. Yeah.
of Paul Jesperson for that shot. Although his was closer than Paul's.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Kinda
Jesperson
cool, but not as
pulled up
cool.
from half court. Suggs just was
It
like,
was
"Yo, I'm
literally, it was incredible. I wish I could have. I had friends actually who were at the game when Jesperson hit that half court. Literally, he was on the opposite side of the court. He after he jumped forward and jumped over half court. So it's further than half court. So that's a big jump.
All I do want to say is that UCLA should have won that game in regulation, and I don't know why the guy decided to keep going into the Gonzaga defender, which then caused the charge to allow Gonzaga to get the ball at the end of the game.
Well, in
he
the
could
words
have
of
just
Hannah
stopped
Montana,
and popped.
In the words of Hannah Montana, everybody makes mistakes.
No,
Everybody has those days.
well, it doesn't matter.
Everybody knows
That was a
what.
bad
What
mistake.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody gets
Everybody
copyrighted
gets
strike.
that way.
Copyright strike.
What?
Yeah,
Before we
Disney
quoted her
Cookies, you didn't
too
hear
much,
that.
we don't want to upset Sir
Had to
Walt.
derail that train.
The
we
ghost
don't
of Sir
want to
Walt.
upset
The
Bob
ghost of
Chapek.
Walt.
Sorry, Mr. Bob.
No, it's the ghost of Walt Disney. That's what I'm
It's
afraid of.
Walt Disney's head? Question mark.
Yeah, it's Walt Disney's head. But yeah, so what else is going on? I know, the FCS season is moving along, and there's band over in the FCS land, which is exciting.
It's true.
And also, some FBS bands are starting to get a little action with spring games coming up, which is also exciting. So finally, after for some schools, 18 months of no band, they've got it back again. And FCS is back. I mean, it's been back for two months now. I think
it's been back since mid February. So yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. For the first time in a year and a half, we have band, and it
feels so good.
It does.
Wait,
it really does.
I want to say, can I shout out to someone? Can I shout out to someone quickly?
Yeah.
I want to shout out to the University of Arizona for including the Pride of Arizona, the Wildcat Marching Band, during the national championship game for the women's basketball tournament. They had them on the Jumbotron at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. I thought it was really cool. Also, I feel terrible for Arizona in that game because the last 2 minutes of that game, well, first off, Arizona got messed up because there was a possession that should have went their way and it ended up going Stanford's way. And on top of all of that, the last possession of the game was just poorly managed, and they should have tried to get the ball inside, and instead they just tried to hoist up a 3 for the win in a 1-point game. But I mean, Arizona nearly won.
I think overall, especially now that the tournaments have kind of wrapped up, I would go as far as to say the women's tournament was way more entertaining than the men's tournament this year. I'm sure that's edgy to say.
No, I'm trying to think of.
I think it really was.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch either of them after Rutgers was knocked out of them both.
What?
I watched
The Maryland-Texas game was extremely entertaining because no one expected Texas to. So I will give them that. And obviously, watching UConn lose is just kind of satisfying because they never lose. So that game was good. But there were a lot of. I agree with Hannah. I mean, the national championship game kind of sucked.
Yeah.
It was a 16-point blowout. There were a lot and then the Final Four game with Baylor, another blowout. Too many blowouts.
But I mean, also, we're not too, especially as band kids.
Too many blowouts.
We're not too unfamiliar with blowout championship games. If anybody remembers the football championship, where it was not a close game.
Oh, where Alabama played that other team that wasn't as good as Bama.
Yeah. Yeah. That
just
happened.
Called out all of Columbus right there.
Yeah, go nuts.
Hannah, how did you? So you were the one who came. So you were the one who said it first off. How did you? So I'm guessing you probably watched both tournaments at length. How did you?
I didn't watch as much. I didn't watch as much of the women's tournament. I followed a lot of it, watching replays and stuff on Twitter. But just my interpretation of it definitely is there were a lot more close games. It was a lot more. To me, it was just a lot more exciting, and honestly, they had record viewership this year, which
is really
and part of the reason I really enjoyed it is because this is the first year that I've even really known a whole lot about the women's tournament, just because like the NCAA just really doesn't publicize it to anywhere near the same length. And I think really another reason the women's tournament was really important this year is it shined a light on a lot of inequalities that are going on behind the scenes. Like the women's weight room that was literally just like a $50 rack of weights from Amazon. Yeah. Like that is
I gotta
not
give a shout out to
acceptable.
Sedona Prince on that one. She's the one on TikTok who was really the one who helped expose it, and she's been doing that all the time her TikTok has been way past this thing. It's just she was the one who happened to do it, and
I think it was incredible that like the women obviously were able to like persevere through like literally like the NCAA is not giving them what they need to succeed, and they all still went out and delivered a really impressive tournament. And I'm hoping that this means in the future the NCAA kind of gets it through their heads like, hey, like we should be treating these athletes exactly the same. The women should be receiving the exact same treatment as the men. So I'm hoping that this was also a tournament that really leads to some change, because it was very obvious once everybody was in the, and I think this year obviously it was different, like it was much more obvious because of the bubble situation, where normally we wouldn't be as aware of a lot of the differences between the two. But I'm hoping that this is a tournament as well that leads to like lasting change within the NCAA.
Yeah, I think because, like you said, because of the bubble, it really put a magnifying glass on the whole situation. Because normally it'd be like, oh, they give us some bad weights and whatnot, like whatever. We're only in each place for a few days, then we're flying back to our home using our own weight rooms and whatnot during the week for training and practicing and whatnot.
This is like 2-3 weeks of time.
At this point, because of the stretch that they're there, they really need that equipment, and they don't get it. And just
I will say
everybody having eyes on it because of the pandemic also just kind of really exposed a lot of the stuff that's been crawling under the rug.
I wanted to talk about the one tweet that the NCAA women's account made when the weight rooms were back, and they were like, and the weight rooms are back. And when I saw that tweet, I was like, this is one of the most brain dead things, just one of the most clueless things that the NCAA could have ever done, because of the fact of they're trying to basically say that they were the hero of the situation that they caused the problem for. Like, if you're the social media person, how tone deaf of a tweet can you have it basically saying that? I think the thing
is, like, too, is that in a lot of organizations, the social media person, like, there's people over them, so a lot of times, like, they got told to tweet that. They don't get to make that choice.
So then whoever was the one who
I just think that it was, I don't think the NCAA did a great job of handling it or issuing their apologies either. So once again, I'm hoping this leads to more lasting change from the NCAA. I think it's an organization, obviously there are a lot of flaws within the NCAA, and no system's perfect, but I think there really needs to be widespread reform, and this just once again emphasized that point.
It didn't make any sense. Like, whoever actually tweeted the thing out probably didn't come up with the tweet and probably was like, the hell are you talking about? Whoever was the one who first devised that should be fired immediately from their job.
I think it was weird, but I think
it wasn't a good tweet.
I think
it wasn't champion a situation that you caused.
But like, I wouldn't say that they were necessarily championing it as much as they were highlighting that somebody brought to their attention that they had made a mistake and they fixed their mistake, and they were highlighting we screwed up, but here we fixed it. We're showing the world that we've made the change that you asked for.
I mean, that's how I see it. It's just I saw it in the other way, where it was like, you were the ones who caused it, and now you're basically saying that you're the hero of the situation. And
that's always the double-edged sword of social media, is that everybody will interpret things differently.
That is 100%
you guys remember the Burger King campaign where they tweeted on International Women's Day? I gave a presentation in a class actually about one of my marketing classes about why that was such a not great thing to do. That like goes to show you, like, even when they have focus groups and stuff, they all interpret it as, oh, like, hey, this is like a crazy, like, whoa, eye-catching thing. Like, oh, they're going to click on the tweet and read the replies. But of course, nobody did that. So it's like showing how social media really, like, it's just interpreted super differently by different people. Yeah. And I think that was just another example of, like, we all just kind of viewed it differently.
Yeah.
But I will say, in terms of actual schools, Shout out to the UNI women's basketball team because they went to the Final Four of the WNIT this year for the first time in school history. And I was sad that I couldn't go to their games and cheer for them because they didn't have any home games, but it's okay because go Cats. So I know that everybody's really looking forward to it, obviously. Yeah, it was very exciting.
Good vibe.
Yeah.
So.
I think I've seen a lot this year that a lot of how last year there were a lot of players that went into the transfer portal and it people wanted to get out of programs regardless. Yeah. Craig knows
the world is on fire.
Yeah.
College basketball is on fire. And
Craig knows that a little bit too well. But I think from what I've seen this year, I think there's a lot of people that are exercising those extra years that they got as being part of a winter sport, or if they have an extra year, they're exercising it because Maryland had all 4 of their seniors are exercising another year of eligibility to play on the team, and I was like, that's really interesting because I would think at least one of those girls, Katie Benson in particular, I think that she's good enough to play in the WNBA. But if they want to run it back again with the same squad that they have, plus the recruits that they have, that's a top 5 team in my opinion. So it's going to be really interesting to see if a lot more athletes are going to be using that extra year of eligibility that they were granted.
Yeah, I know everybody from UNI, they just announced that everybody on the men's team is coming back except one person. So go Cats to that.
Who's the one person?
AJ Green.
No, I would be.
Oh, AJ Green, the accountant?
No,
Hannah would be
man,
brokenhearted about that.
I would. I actually saw AJ Green today. I saw him in the Union.
How's his leg doing?
And then
he was sitting at a table, so I'm not sure, but he obviously had to get there somehow. So hopefully it's healing. Hopefully he's doing well.
AJ
but it was
just
somebody
went your
who
back.
I think it's Evan Gauger is transferring, but I don't know that he's played any minutes at UNI. So I think he was looking to go somewhere where he'd get more time, which is valid, obviously. Yeah. But I'm very excited because all our seniors are coming back. AJ's coming back. All the homies are going to be back.
If
I wish
AJ
some
is
of
healthy
our
this year,
I wish some of the women were going to come back just because I'm sad we didn't get to give them a good farewell because I love the women's team. So.
I always find it fun when teams do a run it back thing. Especially in college, because you only have a certain amount of years in college, and then if everyone returns, it's we're gonna run it back, and I just love the idea of thinking about that because basically that means that they were so close the year previous, and now they want to do the exact same thing again, and they have all that mindset, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for basketball season again, and of course I'm also excited for it because that means one of my favorite things, pep band.
Pep band. Craig, do you want to give a shout out to one Geo Baker today?
I do want to give a shout out to Geo Baker today for a few reasons.
Straight, do it, buddy.
Well,
you did great.
The first reason is because, not NCAA property. Supreme Court is. They heard arguments last week. I don't think they've issued a ruling yet. I haven't. I
don't think they're gonna.
I think they're.
I heard June is the time that they were actually gonna come up with a decision. So this is gonna take a while.
Yeah, I think they're not even. They've broken till I think the April 19th or something. I think they're. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Supreme Court.
Is the session suspended on it for the time being?
Yeah. Well, I think just the Supreme Court is in recess. I don't know how that works. That's not. I am not a lawyer. I don't know. In the land. They truly are. Geo Baker. He didn't get to play on the Final Four court, but he's playing in the bigger court.
Anyway. Do you think that he could cross up whoever the Supreme Court I forget what his name is, the John one of
Justice Roberts?
Yeah.
They're all 70.
Yeah.
Cross them up.
I think Geo Baker could definitely take any of the Supreme Court justices in a 1v1. Especially if it's not a 1v1, but if they do a 3v3 between Geo, Jordan Bohannon, and Isaiah Livers, the three of them against any 3 Supreme Court justices of all time,
Arguably,
No shot.
Against
No
some
shot.
mid-major teams, they can do it.
This is what's gonna happen. There's gonna be like an injury report for like the Supreme Court, and it's gonna be like Justice Roberts out for 2 weeks with a sprained ankle after Geo Baker absolutely tore him up in a pickup game.
Juked him out of his sock.
But Gio also today announced that he is declaring for the draft, but he still is gonna. If he doesn't get drafted, he's gonna be coming back, and we love him.
Is that a
such
thing?
a
Is
nice
he going
guy.
without an agent?
Yeah, he's going without an agent.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine. Because if you're with an agent,
Yeah,
then
then you
means
can.
that.
But
Yeah, because AJ Green went through the draft, but he didn't take an agent,
Yeah.
so he could come back.
I respect that move.
Yeah, I think unless you're like a guaranteed first rounder, it doesn't make sense to sign with an agent. Because then you just lose that chance to,
That's the thing, and you get feedback. I know from the NFL like selection committee and stuff like that,
NBA?
and different like coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You're
good,
good,
you're
good, don't worry.
From the
NFT
NBA
selection committee.
and
Just the NFT.
since they're able to like you and they like let you know what you need to improve on, and then it's like, okay, well I can go back to Rutgers or UNI or whatever school. I can focus on that this season, improve, and then go on. Because I know
the draft combine is so much different.
He just did an interview where he talked about like that's his plan. Again, obviously, because that he had planned to go to the draft, I think, this year, but then he got hurt, so then he's waiting another year.
Wait, what year is he?
He's a year younger than I am, so he's going to be a junior. But I believe he was I don't remember if he was able to redshirt or not last year, but it doesn't matter because he has an extra year, like everybody.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting good. So. Like, what do you think is AJ Green's peak as the UNI basketball enthusiast that I know that you are?
I think that this season is going to be another like big breakout season for him. Honestly, we really saw that his sophomore year. Like after your first year, obviously in college, where they all kind of like bulk up and get used to playing college ball.
Yeah.
Where he was all conference player of the year last year, and then this year, I think if he would not have been hurt, I think he would have had a really great season. So I think that we're going to see something similar where he's coming back from an injury. He has that fire to get back. The whole team's back. So I think it's really going to be a special year. So I'm definitely excited for that. But you know what? Whether we win or lose any games at all, I'm simply going to be excited for Pep Band. So I know a lot of people are looking forward just to, you guys were talking about spring band, which is obviously very excited. I'm right at the end of my spring band. Actually, my last day will be Saturday, but then only a couple months till marching season is with us again.
True,
what
yeah.
instrument do you think that AJ Green would play?
I have no idea.
What position? He's a point guard, right?
Yes.
He'd be a trumpet. Point guards would always be trumpets. All point guards would be trumpets.
Oh man, that just has a bad.
I would say that,
Actually, that does make sense. I agree. That does make a lot of sense.
Point guards,
because the trumpets do carry. Yes.
Or trumpets or drumline. The trumpets or drumline.
The two sections.
I would say that that hashtag Mellow Gang definitely gonna be your forwards.
I actually think that like the sousaphones would be the center because they're kind of the one that like hold down the fort in the middle.
Yeah, and let
us know in the comments. What do you think in the comment section?
A lot of centers, like especially at the not top tier programs, they're really awkward to watch. They're really, really awkward to watch as they if they have the ball and I know a few years ago, I won't name him by name, but Rutgers had a grad transfer center.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And watching him,
Legend.
It looked like he didn't quite understand how his body worked at such a big size. He's now playing.
Yeah,
he's now one of the best players
comparison.
I think he's playing in Japan. He was playing in England, and he was dominating in that league.
Really?
I think he's now in Japan. Yeah.
Wow.
Good
I'm surprised someone took a flyer on him.
Mm-hmm. But it happened. But I would say, they got that awkwardness, that quirkiness. I would say the centers would definitely. I agree with Alex. They would be the tubas.
I agree with the trumpets because and the drum line for point guard because you have to have a certain type of swagger, and sometimes you have to be a little bit arrogant about that swagger, which we've seen out of some point guards before. So arrogant is a good thing in this sense with both trumpets and drum line.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna say trumpets would be a shooting guard. I might not even say point guard. I'd say maybe shooting guard.
No, but I think that I think that there's a certain like there's a certain type of confidence that comes with.
Yeah, I guess by saying I'm a point guard that has that, the BDE.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen Jordan Bohannon before. Jordan Bohannon exerts that type of energy.
Yeah.
Same thing with Grayson Allen, but we don't talk about Grayson Allen here.
Let's see what else. What other sections?
Like flutes and picks, I feel like would be like I'm trying to think of like a saxophone. I feel like they would be either a shooting guard or like a small forward.
I was gonna say the scout team.
You are a jerkwad.
Wow.
I'm just saying from my experience, you can't hear them like in a lot of bands.
Then they would be like the backup point guard.
Here's the thing, is I think whatever the saxophones would be, is they are saxophones and a couple of the woodwinds too. They are the part that you don't realize you need until like it's their time to shine. You're like, we needed you so much. You're
so that's like the sixth man. They could be the sixth man. They could all be combined.
No, Mellow Gang exclusively is the sixth man.
No,
see, I don't
Mellow
think
Gang
Mellow Gang should
exclusively
be.
is.
I feel like Mellow Gang should not be sixth man because we like Mellow Gang always has like the counter melody and is like filling things out.
Hear me out.
Mellow Gang can be small forward.
You're getting to the end of the show. It's getting pretty interesting. Music's going fast, whatnot. But you don't have that zinger. Then all of a sudden, big sustained chord, mellophone rip, and that is the game-winning three right there.
So Mellow Gang is
from
like
the guy
Lou
that you didn't
Williams,
expect it.
Mellow Gang is Lou Williams without the lemon pepper
I love
wings.
a good mellow rip, honestly.
Who doesn't?
I'm assuming you guys have all seen the mellow sustain in Babylon by Santa Clara Vanguard. If you haven't, go look it up right now. It will change your life. It is just the most magnificent mellow sustain I've ever experienced. There are two times in your life, and it's before you hear that and after you hear that. You're just like, perfect. So I appreciate mellows.
Hot take. What about drum major being point guard as well? No. Band director would be coach. Or would band director be GM in this instance?
Drum major would be team captain. Drum major would be team captain regardless of position.
So it could vary.
Yeah. Because the drum major can come from any section. Drum major is a captain.
That's true.
Doesn't matter.
Just like
unless you're in Ohio State, in which case the drum major comes from their D row. Their drum major line.
So at Ohio State, then they're like a coach.
Yeah. They're a student manager. They're a student manager.
Oh no. Like, I feel like that's an insult.
No, you gotta respect the student managers. They make make everything happen.
We love the managers.
They're more important than the team.
The UNI managers actually in the manager pickup games. UNI is very good at pickup
I just don't want to discount a section. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to discount a section here.
Oh, I don't view it as discounting section. So if our viewers are offended by that, I promise that's not what we meant. Suggest what you would like your section to be in the comments, please.
I would say, all right, but moving on to, do we want to group the low brass together or trombones and baritones separately? Baritone / euphonium. I'm gonna group those two together.
I feel like we can group them. We always call them BTS because baritone, tenor, sax. So I always view them as one entity.
Are they like the star player on the team? If that makes sense. No.
I would say that they're power forward.
Who's like the LeBron James of the team?
I would say that the trombones would be the power forwards.
Were you saying that the trumpets are the LeBron James of the team?
Yeah, I don't know anything really about LeBron James. I was just like, yeah, he's good at basketball. So
he's like the star player, like the guy who is the star player on the team. That's like I'm trying to think.
I'd say Mellow Gang. Mellow Gang represents.
No, that's a lie.
Here's the thing: is I feel like Mellow Gang is very good, but I don't know that I would label them.
Mellow Gang is like the underrated player on your team.
Mellow Gang is the sixth man that everyone always forgets about.
No,
the king of
can't
clutch,
call them the sixth man because I would call them a starter.
I could feel they could be the sixth man. They could swap in and out with. Well, no, because here's the thing: is they can the sixth man he comes in and out of the lineup. So you know what? Maybe he starts sometimes. Maybe he doesn't. They can flip in and out with another like the Woodwinds. Y'all can like flip out positions because when we need you guys in specific spots, like you always got it. You always sound magnificent.
The Woodwinds, I would say, in terms of a basketball player, and you guys don't know who this person is, but TJ McConnell. Basically, he's a backup point guard or either the starting point guard for the Pacers. But like, you don't actually realize his worth, and he'll like have a moment where it'll be like a 1 and maybe like a 15 game moment where he'll just have like an amazing game, and then he'll kind of revert back to where he was before. And I feel like that's kind of how the Woodwinds are in that sense, where it's like they'll have moments where they will be the star of the show, but for the most part, they blend in very much with the music and round it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. That works for me.
Yeah, I could live with that.
You know, the one thing I might change is I might choose a different McConnell. I might say Caleb McConnell because he's very much the same way. You know, he just kind of lets the other players rest while he's out there. Doesn't do a whole lot. He doesn't really screw up too badly.
No,
but
TJ's like actually like an important player.
Yeah, and so is Caleb. Caleb McConnell's a very important player because he holds the other team in place. Doesn't really let them go on a run. Doesn't really push Rutgers too much further ahead. But he just lets our players who do that get a little air, get a little relaxation.
I can't commit to that example, but if you want to commit to that example, then feel free.
Well, I can't commit to anything about the NBA because the NBA sucks.
Yeah, I don't love watching the NBA. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's nothing really against the NBA. I just think college is more exciting.
Oh, college is way more exciting. It's just like the NBA. I mean, it's the same thing with like college football and the NFL.
No, disagree. Nothing like college football versus the NFL. Big disagreement there.
Wait, I'm trying.
The NBA is, in my opinion, the worst sports league, at least in the country.
Well, it's in the same sense of like you'll get more, I guess, more or less more exciting games in college versus in the pros. Like one is the best of the best, and one of them has amateurs involved in it as well. So you're getting
I would say that
in between.
College football and NFL football, they're very different, but I would say they're equally exciting to watch. I find the NBA excruciatingly boring.
Well, you have to be more of a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
I guess for the NBA you have to be more of a hardcore fan to appreciate it more, and with the NFL you could be more of a casual fan and appreciate a game.
I feel like you can do that with both. I just like don't enjoy.
Yeah, I just
NBA
find
as much.
Yeah.
And I just because I feel like it's not. Even like the way like how it was like maybe 10 years ago, it just isn't as exciting anymore in my opinion.
We need more guys hitting each other.
I respect the heck out of everybody in the NBA.
Yeah,
I could never do it. But it's just not for me. I'm sure like whatever, like I'll cheer for the Raptors or whatever because a former UNI guy's the head coach
Nick
there.
Nurse.
And if AJ Green gets into the NBA, I'll cheer for whatever team he's on. But I'm just not like super attached to any teams. It's kind of the same way for me with baseball. I don't mind. Like, baseball's, like, fine. I won't, like, sit down and watch it because it's kind of boring because it takes forever. But, like, it can be exciting, too. I think college basketball is definitely my favorite, though.
College basketball is just a different animal.
My gripe with the NBA is that players at that level just don't try as hard as they do in college.
Well, they don't need to try as hard in the regular season because there's like certain teams that you know are going to make it.
The regular
and
season. Hold on. Let me speak to you.
My bad.
The regular season, for the large majority of teams, unless you really suck in the NBA, it does not matter.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. 2/3 of the teams are getting into the playoffs anyway. There's your first issue. Make the playoffs smaller. Second issue, players are making so much money per game that they don't want to risk defense. Or they don't want to risk injuring themselves, so they don't put themselves in defensive positions as much as.
And that's why the game scores so high. There's less defense.
Exactly. And in the NFL, I mean, the game is also longer. But in the NFL, there are players who it's their job to play defense. So if they're just going to be like, I don't want to play defense because I don't want to get hurt, then they're out of a job. So they're going to go and they're going to try and play their best at defense because somebody else will.
There's a lot more players on NFL teams, too. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
NBA's got much smaller rosters.
In the NBA, players just don't need to play defense. As long as they can shoot the ball well, they don't need to try on the other end of the court. And that just makes it extremely boring. And that's why I hate it. It's just like which team has a slightly better shot. you know.
I will say one thing about college basketball and the NFL that I think are similar because I was thinking about like parity, because usually in college basketball there doesn't seem to be as much parity as there is in college football, because with college football you pretty much know who's going to be there at the end. I feel like the NFL is starting to get to that point of less parity, because the NBA and college football, I would agree, were very much the same thing for a long period of time. Basically, whenever LeBron got to the finals, like whatever team he was on, it was like Cavs Warriors for a long period of time. So the parity is the same thing. So maybe it's college basketball and the NFL that are more similar, and college football and the NBA that are similar.
So I think it depends on the levels of college football too, because obviously, like for FBS, like you can't get to the championship if you don't have one of those last bowls. But like in FCS, like we have a tournament, so there could be upsets, which I just think is more exciting.
Yeah, FCS is more like college football for sure.
We're going to be starting playoffs soon. You and I's not going to make it though, so.
Oh, really?
Drop your eyes to that.
Jesus.
It's been a rough go of it for the Cats this year.
Geez.
I watched a few of the earlier games. It was.
Oh, I've witnessed all our home games.
Is it because of the fact that a bunch of guys just opted out of the season?
Part of it is because we lost 3 guys to the draft, which they're all super talented. So that was rough. Our last game, our starting quarterback, we're not really sure where he was. Will McIlvain, please let us know where you were, because we were using our 3rd string quarterback. Not really sure what was going on.
There?
Wasn't he also the guy that started the first game?
He might have been, actually.
I think he was.
Yeah, so.
But speaking of the first game, there's also another reason why UNI hasn't been doing great. The day before the first game, y'all lost your offensive coordinator. So
that's true. That was I forgot about that. Yeah, that was kind of a problem.
Didn't he go to the Packers?
He did, in fact, go to the Packers, which I respect. But sir, please, it's the day before our season starts. But you know, he has to do what he has to do. He's got to
go make that bag.
All of us, honestly, at just this point, we're just like, yeah, okay. Like they won't be in the playoffs, but that's probably going to be okay, because we will get extra time to rest before we go back in August. I think right at the end of August, we kick off our season. I believe we're playing Iowa State, but yeah, we're playing Iowa State. I know we missed the game with Iowa. We have we play Iowa State.
You guys don't need Iowa. You guys have Iowa State now.
Well, because we rotate every 2 years, we play Iowa. We'll play Iowa State twice in a row. Of course, we didn't get to play Iowa last year because of the Big Ten. They didn't let non-conference games happen. But yeah, I'm saying a lot, so sorry. But
no, you're fine.
We're doing there it was again. Now I'm very aware of the fact that I'm saying so
that was literally like another podcast I was on. We were talking to a broadcaster, minor league baseball broadcaster, and he said that I basically what he said is that he tries to not say and during a broadcast of a game, and then he started doing that, and then he said exactly what you said. He's like, well, crap, now I'm gonna realize when I said that. That's
once you're aware of it, because I did in high school, I did competitive speech, so our coaches would literally count anytime we said or so you just become really aware of it. But when I'm losing my train of thought, I always kind of do it. I will say that I'm excited for UNI season in the fall, definitely. It's not that UNI is necessarily bad. We lost, we had 2 games where we lost literally on the last play of the game both times, which not an excuse, but at least it wasn't like a blowout or something. So I really think we'll be back in the mix in the fall. I think we're 2-3, 2-2. I don't remember exactly. I know we have more than one team in the conference that's 4-1, and they made the playoff division smaller. Normally it's 24 teams, but I believe they cut it down to 16 because of COVID. So there's already less spots to go around. So
yeah.
Once again, we're all like, we got to have football. We got to do pep band. So I was just grateful for the chance to be there. I think the guys were all excited they got to play.
I was going to ask, talking about going to games, because I actually got the opportunity, and you guys saw on Snapchat, I went to the Phillies game yesterday. So I got to go see my first Major League Baseball game since August or September of 2019, which is kind of weird to think about. And I wanted to, obviously, Hannah, you've experienced UNI football game day. I wanted to hear your experience compared to my experience, because I feel like your experience might be just a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot fewer people at UNI's football games because we're also indoors. Its attendance is restricted to our season ticket holders. And then there's like room in the student section, but you have to like sit in pods or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that and I don't know a whole lot about how baseball is doing it. I assume they're doing distancing and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges just because like I don't know enough about the other
Well, I was just curious
about
about like mask wearing, because so for the Phillies games, I think it's 25% capacity, so it was like 11,000.
It's required, but not. The first game was really not great.
Okay.
I don't think at all. There were a lot of issues with people like wearing their masks and keeping them on. Fewer students have been at the game, so it's a little harder for me to judge that, just because the first game, the student section was packed and like nobody was wearing masks, which was not great.
Okay.
I know they were trying to be stricter about it. I'm not sure what the situation is looked at like on the concourse, because of where I sit specifically in the stands. The only real fans I can see is the student section, because it's like there's like we're towards the back of our allotted space, and then there's like a concrete walkway and then more seating up towards the top of the dome, and I just don't really turn around and look back there. So okay. You know what, I will look Saturday and I will report back.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because from what I experienced at the Phillies game, and this is for anyone that if you're going to baseball games or if you're going to sporting events moving forward, I don't know how it's going to be like, but this was just my experience. So like I said, capacity was around 11,000 for games. Everyone had to wear masks unless you were eating food or drinking water or drinking whatever you wanted to drink, because there was alcohol provided at games. You could buy alcohol at games. Other than that, it seemed like most people were wearing masks. People had different kinds of masks on. People had face shields on and other things like that. But for the most part, it was pretty distanced from what I experienced. We didn't have anyone in front of us, so it seemed like it was either every other row or every 3 rows, 2-3 rows. But it was pretty good from my perspective. It was nice because you had a lot more space to roam around. I will say for the Phillies games, because I know at UNI they have benches instead of having actual seats. Some of the seats were zip tied off.
Yeah, it depends on where you are in the dome, because I think we have like normal seating in other areas. It just depends on where you're sitting. Yeah.
The Phillies is an all-seater stadium, and some of the seats were just zip tied.
Sorry.
You're good.
Well, yeah. So some of the seats were just zip tied together, which is how they were separated. So all of the seats that were opened weren't zip tied, and the rest of them were zipped. So it was kind of weird because you couldn't spread out, but you could in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we had I know that like our season ticket holders, like they were all given assigned seats. So if they're at the game, if they're not students, they all have pre-assigned seats and they have to sit there. So yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that that's going on. Craig, are you planning on going to any sporting events?
I almost went to a Royals game on Sunday, but because by the time I logged on to get the tickets, they were already sold out. I was looking at them on Friday afternoon.
How much were they?
It was like $11 for the cheapest ones. I could have easily. I could have gotten it.
That's a vibe.
But then I was like, I don't know. You know, I'll see. I'll see if they're available tickets tomorrow night. You know what? I'll go and I'll go. And then I went and checked on Saturday night, and they were sold out. So, I think the next home game, I think is Monday the 12th, and then they're there all the way through that next week. So maybe Friday or Saturday next week. Maybe I'll go. I don't know.
You should definitely try to go. I will say it's weird just because of the fact that we really haven't been to sporting events in such a long time, and the capacities of the stadiums that we're in are much smaller than what the actual capacity of it is, but it feels like there's so many more people there. Like it just felt right to be back at games. I just don't want us to be like how the Rangers are.
I think definitely things are obviously with fans and stuff, things are starting to look up. Numbers are starting to go down. So obviously everybody keep wearing those masks, keep distancing, get back safe if you can. All those good things. So I think on that note, we can go ahead and wrap it up for the night. So thank you everybody for joining us. We had such a great time kind of hanging out with you on this Wednesday evening. So you can, once again, for those socials reminders, you can find us on Twitter at College Band RDO. You can find us on Instagram at College Band Radio, and you can make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube at College Band Radio, just to make sure you're not missing any of our live shows and the fun stuff we're doing here.
Make sure to ring that notification bell.
Smash that like button, hit those post noties.
So
you're welcome, Greg.
All right, guys.
Yeah. On that
sorry.
note,
Go ahead, Craig.
No, I was just gonna say, any last words before we wrap this up?
Shout out to sports and band and music and life.
All right, Hannah, you wanna call us out of here?
All right, so I will steal Alex's line and say, stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask, and we'll see you guys again soon.